has left a huge gap in the football family. A truly special person on the field and off it. So here we go. It's not just the second meeting in less than 72 hours, it's the third meeting in a spell of 7 games. The other match was in the League Cup here early in November, before the World Cup. And Manchester City won by 2-0. Riyad Mahrez scored in that as well, as he did in the Premier League game on Thursday evening. So it's another battle of the Blues, Stuart.
Certainly is. And Chelsea actually played well in that game in the Carabao Cup, particularly in the first half. Man City eventually won the game, but it was very tight.
And Walker going in quickly and powerfully. He just played the first half of the league game because he's only recently back. He did play for England in the World Cup and played against Mbappe, and played well in the game that England got knocked out in the quarter-final. But he hadn't played for his club since early October with groin surgery. Touched by Ziyech. And here is Walker. Back to Moreno. Emirates Laporte. He's recovered from injury. Ruben Diaz is still out. I'm never quite sure how Pep Guardiola is going to set out his front six, particularly with the likes of Bernardo Silva and Phil Foden. They can play pretty much anywhere in that department.
At the moment, I think they're playing as we expected them to, with Palmer out on the left-hand side, Mahrez on the right, as he always is, Alvarez through the middle.
And here's Bernardo Silva, looking for the World Cup winner. He made such a difference with the likes of Alexis McAllister and Enzo Fernandez, younger players who came into the team during the competition. And gave some freshness around the great Leo Messi. Here's Gomez, the left back. Palmer's been in and around. He's a Manchester lad. It's a high-promising England under-21 international. Koulibaly half getting away. Conor Gallagher, who's had lots of loans, but now getting a chance to be a Chelsea player. He's always belonged to it's a local club for him. Right near the Chelsea training ground. Havertz, Jorginho.
Yeah, easily read by Laporte. Conor Gallagher making that forward run, as he does so often when he's playing for Chelsea. And he was playing for Crystal Palace. Scored some wonderful goals. Vieira.
Here's Laporte. And the FA Cup debutant, Akanji. Foden. Forward by Rodri, who's kept going. Foden. Jorginho covering the run. Chalobah, another of those who's back in the team. Chelsea fans who think he should have been back in the team a bit earlier, but Graham Potter piecing his way through knowledge of the big squad. He's needed many of the squad, including this lad Lewis Hall, who did play in the League Cup game here from the start, had a couple of good chances, and certainly left an impression. And this is the debutant today, Bashir Humphries.
He's going to play on the right-hand side of the two centre-backs. He's shown his pace on one occasion when Alvarez made a run down the side. He got out there quite quickly.
Koulibaly played on the left-hand side at Nottingham Forest from the previous league game, and on the right-hand side of Thiago Silva. against City on Thursday. So he's flexible in that respect. Here he is, his first season at the club, of course, as well, and he's given the ball away. And Palmer couldn't make anything of it. And here's Gallagher. Ziyech looking for Havertz. He's up front again. It's not always his position of choice. He's one of those who like to play behind another striker. Of course, Raheem Sterling is one of those who's missing, the former City player who was injured after 3 minutes against his old club on Thursday. Not long after that, Christian Pulisic, the USA international, also had to leave the game and is in contention today. Guardiola saying, oh, well, we might be at home, but this will be tougher. It was a bit of managerial psychology. It was a very important win for them on Thursday in the context of the Premier League. They're chasing another London club, Arsenal. And here they are again, head-to-head with one of the capitals chosen on Chelsea. Bernardo Silva. Morris standing down beneath his hands on hips, so just taking an early breather. He has been in the team a lot recently, but he hasn't always been in his best form. He's been that Mahrez on the right, Jack Grealish on the left. Oh, there's a to make Ortega hurry. Goalkeeper arrived on a free transfer from Bielefeld in Germany.
Sergio Gomez playing as the left back today. Like all Man City fullbacks, he will drift in field at times. Chamber winning the ball off Palmer.
Sergio Gomez is a Spanish under-21 international. He's been around mostly in cup games, has played in the Premier League as well. Got sent off in a Champions League game against Copenhagen.
Look at the positions of Mason Mount and Ziyech at the moment. They're not going really wide. They're playing almost in an inside right, inside left position behind the main striker. Havertz going for the ball over the top.
I'm really pleased to have Mount back. It's the first time he hadn't been involved in a Chelsea game all season, starting most of them, and he used substitute in those he didn't start. It's a training ground injury. It can't have been too serious, as it happened on Wednesday, and here he is playing on Sunday. We do see a risk and reward situation of playing out from the back. Havertz thought he could nick the ball.
Not all goalkeepers are as good as Edison on the ball, so a lot of pressure on Moreno. I saw Zach Steffen really struggle in a Cup semi-final where he gave possession away on a couple of occasions against Liverpool.
Rodri is a key figure. He takes responsibility, and in doing so he takes one that's caused him a bit of pain.
Seems to be that much contact, maybe just still on his toe. Havertz.
Rodri, of course, played as a centre-back for Spain in the World Cup.
And actually did it very well, both defensively and on the ball.
It's a useful tool, really, for Pep Guardiola. He can drop back in. He's quite comfortable receiving the ball in that kind of situation, but it wasn't comfortable when a millisecond later Havertz arrived.
I'm surprised he hasn't played at centre-back more for Man City, because over Guardiola's coaching career, he's often played a midfield player at centre-back. Mascherano for Barcelona, Kimmich for Bayern Munich.
It's often said of Pep Guardiola, he liked outfield players, all midfield players, and maybe a goalkeeper can play midfield as well. And Edison, he probably has got one. He's not playing today.
Just need a forward run here, Manchester City. A lot of play in front of Chelsea. Mahrez at some point has got to try and make a run in behind the two centre-backs.
Gallagher's got a problem now. Walker. Mahrez against the youngster. Lewis Hall, and he's past him. And he pick out. There were plenty arriving in the middle, but that's good handling by Kepa Arrizabalaga.
Good play, Mahrez. As you said, skip past the challenge. Saw the space in behind the young fullback. This is the touch that makes it. Across, Hall who dives in. Koulibaly gets very close to him, so it was difficult for Mahrez to pick anybody out. She tries to play it between the legs.
The touch actually helped Kepa, didn't it? Alvarez moving in menacingly. Gallagher went to the World Cup with England, but didn't get on the field. It was a wonderful learning experience for him. He's really trying. Always had the ambition. He's been out on loan to establish himself as a Chelsea player. Chelsea could lose in both domestic cups to the same club for a second year running. In Liverpool it was last season, although both of those defeats, of course, were in the respective finals of the league and the FA Cup. This way, having been knocked out here, wasn't the kindest draw for the club that have got to the final in each of the last 3 seasons, but lost on all 3 occasions. Laporte. Palmer. That's a lovely play. And, might drop still for Alvarez. I think it's not right, but I think the whistle had gone. Foden wouldn't have counted.
I think the referee saw that as a foul by Phil Foden as he jumped for the ball. Good play down that left-hand side. Foden had made his way into the box. Good bit of skill. And Gomez, ball played into the box. This is where he thought it was a foul, when he jumps into the back of Koulibaly.
It might just have been so. It's an overhead kick, which is going away. I think Arrizabalaga had heard the whistle anyway.
Just the way that Chelsea is set up, it does look as though both Man City fullbacks could have the freedom of the park if they switch play quickly enough. Talk about that position of Mount and Ziyech, very narrow.
Sure, you saw Alisson in goal for Liverpool playing out from the back yesterday. The kind of error that could cost you a place in the next round of the FA Cup. It didn't, as it turned out. There's Erling Haaland in the watching brief. He is named as a substitute. Conversation with Ilkay Gundogan. Dortmund connection there. There's Kovacic running into trouble there. Kanji. Another who went to the World Cup. Chelsea had 12 away, Manchester City 16. Was one of those who was part of the Spain setup that went out to Morocco, dominating the possession. Death by 1,000 passes, that's supposed to kill off the opposition, not yourself. Spain's involvement and the job of Luis Enrique paid the price for over-reliant on passing football. Emirates. Rodri. Bernardo Silva was in the Mahrez role when the change was made. And we had Mahrez on. He's playing on the right-hand side as a left footer. but he did play the first half in the position he's playing today. The midfield man. There's talk of his future being a bit unsettled, uncertain. I have heard that before. Invariably bounces back to be one of the first names on Pep Guardiola's team sheet. Hall. Done by Koulibaly, trusting Lewis Hall, who actually, if you asked him, would prefer to play in midfield, but he is a left footer and tends to be away into the side, the wider area. Probably competition for a midfield spot with Chelsea.
Well, I would say, having seen the first 15 minutes here, he's got to look to play forward a bit more often like that.
That's nice play. And now just found the ball stuck under his foot. A little bit too much grass on the had surface for Chelsea to slick that one through, but it was promising. Probably their best little interchange of passing in the game so far.
Because Hall looked to play forward rather than going back to the centre-half Koulibaly, which has caused problems so far for Chelsea. Man City trying to press high up the field.
Walker's throw. A risky one, but it ran for Mahrez, and Manchester City have got Chelsea backpedaling here. There's a hefty touch from Palmer. Gomez backs him up. Chelsea got their numbers back. Laporte. Gomez again. He lets it run. Last 5 games, 4 of them have been 1-0, 1 to Chelsea, the Champions League final. And, 3 Premier League wins for Manchester City on the bounce, plus the 2-0 to City here in the League Cup. So it's not a fixture that has radiated goals. There's a lot of tactical thought for Chelsea. Had Thomas Tuchel in charge for a number of those games.
Just saw the possession stats there, as we thought Man City have dominated possession without creating anything so far.
Just that little burst from past Hall from Mahrez.
For Morocco, Ziyech played very wide, didn't he? Almost on the touchline, doing the sort of job that Mahrez is doing for Man City over on this side of the pitch. He's playing through almost an inside right position, Mount through an inside left.
Too narrow behind one, isn't it? And then 3 behind them to build the platform.
If Man City switch the ball quickly, it means that Conor Gallagher's got a lot of work to do to get out to Gomez, and Kovacic has got a lot of work to get out to Kyle Walker down this side. Not switch play quickly enough so far, Man City.
Chelsea, of course, still suffering without their first choice wing-backs, where they would probably play 3 at the back. Reece James and Ben Chilwell. Hardly been seen in tandem in the last couple of years. James was on his way back after the injury that kept him out in the World Cup. They both missed the World Cup with England, incidentally. Well, here's Palmer put through, and he's hit the side netting. And you say without making anything, they made something then.
Well, it's a great ball played forward. Palmer makes his run from outside to in. He's onside when the ball's played. Laporte just bends it round. Last defender. Chalobah got caught out there. He just tries to pass it in at the near post. Actually goes between the legs of Kepa, but he must have got a slight touch on it.
Yeah, given. Here is Palmer again.
He talked about teams not having much of a time to adapt to each other. I think that was the case there, because Humphreys went into a midfield position. Chalobah almost allowed Palmer to run into what he thought the centre-half position would be, and suddenly he was in.
It can only have been a sort of late training session yesterday, or maybe even this morning, if City have come in. They've got players who have played in the Premier League game, and as the vast majority didn't start it, some came on as substitutes, all sorts of different levels of recovery. It's almost like walking through the shape of the team rather than doing anything more dynamic. And here is Chalobah. Humphreys is captain of the Chelsea development setup. He's represented England at youth level. Comes from the West Country, comes from Exeter. And Bashir gives it a right bash for a chase. And Rob Jones, the referee, Ziyech, believing that he was actually brought down. That would have been a big decision if it had gone Chelsea's way.
Well, Gomez was chasing, but the ball was already in almost the goalkeeper's hands when the foul was committed. If it was a foul, it does look as though Gomez may have just slipped. Ziyech wasn't going to get on the end of it. But a worrying moment there for the left-back. Good ball by Humphreys, played over the top.
Ziyech doing the pressing. Gallagher driving on, forward thinking. And the Havertz, who of course scored the winner in the Champions League final against Manchester City. Getting on for 2 years ago now. This comes Koulibaly. All arm waving and gesticulating. Trying to tuck it around the corner. It would have been interesting that as to whether Havertz would have been onside or not.
I've just watched Manchester City in recent times, and although they're still a very good team, they have looked more vulnerable to the counter-attack. Here's the ball over the top. Yeah, it's just a clip of the heels.
Havertz. Back for City. Rodri, and they've got 4 going forward here. Alvarez, who burst through, of course, in the World Cup a couple of times very spectacularly, particularly against Croatia. And Jorginho and Kovacic letting the referee know about the earlier incident and their opinions of it.
It wasn't a great ball from Alvarez. Mahrez had to stop his run. It was a foul by Hall.
In the League Cup game, Mahrez scored from a free kick early in November.
Maybe just a fraction too far out for Mahrez to certainly he can get it over the wall and back down again, but to beat the goalkeeper from that sort of distance, he's got a great left foot, as we know. Looking across for Pep Guardiola, what do you think?
Silva's got a decent left peg on him as well.
They're discussing, can we really shoot from this distance, or does it need to be clipped into the box? No.
Mahrez decides to have a shot. Well, that's extraordinary. He's done it to Chelsea again. It was certainly in his range. And Riyad Mahrez, in these 3 games, in a short space of time between these 2 clubs, has scored in all of them.
Well, it doesn't come much better than that. The question was it too far out? Well, it certainly wasn't, was it? He just wraps his foot round it. Just watch here. It goes down the side of the wall, over the wall. It goes over the wall.
Well, the distance helped, Stuart, didn't it? Because there was time for it to go up and back down again.
And it beats the goalkeeper, Kepa, who takes one step across but can't get there with the dive. It's a brilliant free kick. Gallagher did everything to try and jump and get a block in, but there was no stopping that. Brilliant from Riyad Mahrez. Just brushed the head of Conor Gallagher, just his hairline.
Yeah, could have done with a player with a tighter haircut, perhaps. Maybe Kepa might have got a grab of it, but it was a brilliant free kick. And if there's one man who's the scourge of Chelsea at the moment, it is Riyad Mahrez. Very different goal to the one he got on Thursday when he came in at the back post from very close range.
Not quite sure why you looked at me so closely when you said about short haircuts.
Well, you could look back. Here's Gallagher of the long hair. Kovacic. Sort of responsible for this. Provoke from the team in the darker shade of blue. Manchester City fans, one of the many things they like about Pep Guardiola is that he has come into English football and taken it full on, not just the Premier League. Obviously we know he's desperate, and the club, obviously the manager said it this season, we really have to win the Champions League to make the whole thing totally complete. But the domestic cup competitions, which aren't always taken super seriously by some of the other elite clubs, Guardiola, I know he's made changes today, but that's probably more because of the last game being so close. Here's Foden, who started that game at Stamford Bridge. He's another England World Cup player, of course. Scorer in the World Cup.
That's why Pep Guardiola is probably the top manager. As he said in pre-season, I want to win every game.
Here's Mahrez. This time it's a beautifully delivered cross-field ball to Gomez. Palmer around Gallagher. He's having to do a lot, as you said, Stuart. He's having to go out on the right-hand side, away from the area of the pitch he'd like to be more centrally involved in.
It's difficult with the shape that Chelsea are playing, with those three midfield players in behind the two that we talked about before, Mount and Ziyech, and Havertz playing up front. Kovacic and Conor Gallagher, they've got so much work to do defensively.
Played by Cole Palmer, having to defend again. He's a tall, slender young man. He seems to take everything in his stride. He's lovely technique, moves well. He's had a chance already in this game. Kanji going towards the near post. Laporte going in. Rodri's there. Shot from Alvarez. Alvarez was aiming for Bernardo Silva. He's now involved. Rodri. Alvarez. Back to Walker, who's been involved in this passage of play 3 or 4 times. Central area. It's Walker's ball. Alvarez. That bulldozing style of his.
Good run, good ball played by Kyle Walker, getting down the side of Koulibaly. Couldn't quite get his feet sorted out. Here's the ball that was played into the box. When it hits Havertz on the arm, that's going to be a penalty.
Yeah, he was reaching for that. You can't call that a natural position. And Rob Jones, when he looks at it, I agree with you, Stuart. He's punched the ball away, hasn't he?
He's using his arms, but his arms are away from his body. Under the current laws, this will be a handball, this will be a penalty. And Laporte doesn't foul him, that's another question. I don't think there's any sort of foul by Laporte. He's just jumping for the ball. It has to be a penalty.
He's fearing the worst, and the cheers tell him doesn't need to look round at the referee. Sometimes forwards back defending are not in a comfortable position, and they don't like marking. They're not toughened to that kind of contest one-on-one. And here's an interesting dynamic. We saw Alvarez World Cup colleague Emi Martinez come up with some gamesmanship.
Yeah, which I didn't like, and I don't like this either.
It's interesting, it's not Mahrez taking the penalty. He's missed a few from Manchester City, so they're not going to the scourge of Chelsea. Julian Alvarez with almost half an hour gone. With this penalty, oh, and he nearly got there. Marisa Balaga, well, he did get there, but he couldn't keep it down. It is 2-0, and Alvarez is back from the World Cup with a successful spot kick.
It wasn't the perfect penalty by any means. Kepa got a good dive in, got that bottom hand to it, but not a strong enough bottom hand. All the antics and all the mind games, Alvarez makes it 2-0. What a few weeks it's been for him. Should actually save it once he gets there. So the bottom hand should get it and push it away.
He got the reach, but not the strength. And Havertz, of course, can still point to the fact that he scored the winner of the Champions League final against today's opponents, but I'm afraid the way things are going for Chelsea, his job is to get goals on a more regular basis, and they are struggling. He's got 5 so far. Raheem Sterling missing, he's got 6. They're just, particularly since Graham Potter has taken over, they've been shot shy and certainly goal shy. And now they need at least 2 to take it to a replay. There wasn't much in it, was there?
No.
Until the free kick.
I thought Chelsea looked quite threatening on the counter-attack. Man City hadn't made enough chances with all their possession. But at the moment, Chelsea...
Look at the attempts on target, which emphasises the point we're making about Chelsea's inability to trouble the opposition in the aspect of the game that matters the very most.
Well, their worst aspect of their play has been when they're trying to play out from the back down in their left-back position. It keeps going back to Koulibaly. He can't play a forward pass, nor could Hall, and they give the possession so easily.
CH, Gallagher's cross, and Silva coming into a central defensive position to good effect. Jorginho has dropped to the bench, he didn't come on Thursday. Koulibaly. Couldn't name too many strikers who like to come back and do what Havertz was supposed to be doing for Graham Potter. They're much happier trying to get free from a marker in the other penalty area. You will probably remember from your career somebody who did it well, but I can't think of too many. Normally they want to guard the front zone where you, if the ball goes over your head, you leave it to other people, and if it's within your reach, you can head it away without any problem. And here's Palmer, City trying to really seal the deal before half-time.
You're absolutely right. There's a lot of strikers that like to go into that near-post zone and do the job very well. I can think of Alan Shearer doing it very well. I've watched a lot of Ibrahimovic over the years, and he does that near-post zone brilliantly. They don't often like to mark.
Going back to Chelsea and Didier Drogba, he was just sent into the middle of the goal area, so that you attack the ball. You don't have to mark anybody, just deal with the ball if it comes in. He's so good in the air, and he did that very well. Laporte, pressure on Havertz.
It's the only way it wasn't going to be given if the referee thought that Laporte was a bit late on the challenge and fouled Havertz and pushed him into the ball, but that certainly wasn't the case.
Kanji.
In this system, it's very difficult for Chelsea to actually win the ball back high up the field because there's always an out ball to the fullbacks.
There's Walker. Alvarez coming in. Put down to Alvarez in the first place.
Almost a brilliant touch, wasn't it, from Foden? waist high, trying to play it with the outside of his left boot into the path of Alvarez.
He takes nothing for granted. Yeah, there's that old football cliche about 2-0 being a dangerous lead. There's a dangerous piece of falling on the ball by Jorginho. Alvarez nearly in again.
Koulibaly just about did enough, saw the danger, got across quickly. Chelsea giving the ball away, Jorginho taking too long. Rodri pinches it off him.
Here for another penalty, but the referee's given it just outside. Consternation for Koulibaly. The way Mahrez has been taking the free kicks. Outside.
Once again, Chelsea turning over possession. Man City are winning it back quickly. Same again, I would have thought would have been the advice from Bernardo Silva. More difficult to get it up and over the wall this time. He's going to probably go round the wall.
So Riyad Mahrez goes again. Catchable with the bar on target.
And he has to go round the wall this time, and that's why Kepa can see it coming all the way. It's a little bit too straight. It's a comfortable save for Kepa.
His main competitor, Ivan Bendy, is out with a shoulder problem. Marcus Bettinelli is the substitute goalkeeper for Chelsea here today. Jorginho and Palmer having a push and shove. Mahrez with the corner, a good catch. Balaga. Kovacic. Those surging runs from inside his own half. He rarely is the player who makes a goal or scores a goal, but he is a ball carrier and transfers it to the player who does have the assist. Over 200 games for Chelsea now. Of course, he's got Real Madrid on his CVs. He's nobody's fool. A couple of really successful World Cups with Croatia. One wonders what Chelsea can do in these circumstances. Walker. Nice for him to be back in the stadium again. Little shot from Rodri. So I don't think Pep Guardiola would be too pleased about. Rodri now a bit more purposeful. Finding Mahrez. Hall in his sights. And Walker arriving and Foden turns in. And it's 3-0 Manchester City. They're cutting Chelsea apart here. Too easy.
Just look at the timing of the pass from Mahrez. He gets it absolutely right. The switch of play which we've been talking about. They create the 2v1 in the wide area. Too much work for Kovacic to come across and help his fullback. And Foden's in the right place. Bernardo Silva is occupying Hall. So Hall can't come too wide. Goes in again, Hall. He has to. As Bernardo Silva's in a dangerous position. Now the switch of play. Walker makes the run. Kovacic can't get there. Maybe Koulibaly could have come out and tried to block it. He doesn't do so. And Phil Foden just almost standing there. There's the way to pass, the angle of pass. Brilliant from Man City. Not good from Chelsea.
Well, one of the many reasons why the City fans love Phil Foden is that he does score goals. It's his 9th of the season. And in that respect, he outstrips the likes of Grealish. Even Bernardo Silva. That's, from a coaching point of view, if your team scored it, it's a lovely moment. He wasn't at his best at Stamford Bridge when he started. He got hooked. And worse than that, the change worked for Manchester City. Grealish and Mahrez came on. But they're taking the game and the FA Cup away from Chelsea, the finalists in the last 3 stagings of this tournament. And Graham Potter is learning the hard way about managing this level. So, newcomers like David Fofana, and of course Benoit Badiashile, who is a defender, and whether it might be the circumstances for him. We'll just have to wait and see as one of his chosen defenders, Chalobah, makes a run here. Palmer went with him successfully. Here's Hall.
I just don't think the shape has helped Chelsea. It's been too easy for Man City to keep possession, to switch the play.
It's good work by Hall into his favoured midfield area. Ziyech. Chalobah, whose brother Nathaniel won the Premier League with Chelsea. He's now playing for Fulham. We did say at the start, Stuart, that it would take maybe 20 minutes or so for the teams to sort themselves out. One team sorted themselves out.
They played with a greater urgency to close the ball down, and Chelsea almost played into their hands by trying to play it from the back and not doing it very well. Having 6-7 passes, and they ended up with Koulibaly on his own goal line, trying to find a way out.
Here's Ziyech. He scored here in a Chelsea win. Kovacic. Mount's done well. Ziyech. Jorginho, but Alvarez came back. The ball from him. Play on, says the referee, only for a moment. It did look as though it should be a City free kick. For Emirates Laporte. That's a bit of an earful from Jorginho, I think, on the way back.
It's an arm by Conor Gallagher that just catches Laporte. He's trying to shield the ball. He's not swinging his... He hits him on the chest to start with. It actually goes up his chest into his face. I think too much blame can be apportioned to that man there, Conor Gallagher.
He plays aggressively, and he does get more than his share of yellow cards, really. But that's his fault on the right side, because he's got a driving desire, kind of desire that he needs to sprinkle through the club at the moment to get it right. Maybe not as technical as some of the Chelsea midfield players of their golden period. But certainly his heart is worn on his sleeve. Akanji. Did again, City here. Foden. So some numbers back. That was a risky one from Jorginho.
He had given the ball away, so he was desperate to win it back, but he took a gamble by going in with his stud showing.
His studs were, fortunately for him, just connecting with the ball.
Well, these are going to be the awkward moments for Potter in his spell at Chelsea. The players are going to be asking questions at half-time. He's going to be asking them some questions or trying to make changes. And if you're one of the players, you say the formation isn't working. You know, I'm running around trying to close people down, but they've got easy passes out to the fullback areas.
He's unbeaten in his first 9 games in the job, and taken over from the sacked Thomas Tuchel. And assuming they don't win this one, some story if they do, it'll be just 2 wins in the next 9. A goal before half-time would help. Conceding another one, before half-time. Just about write them off. And here's Alvarez. Palmer. Alvarez makes a run. He finds Mahrez. And it's so close to Alvarez touching it in. That would have been another typical City move.
Just wonder whether Mahrez needed to play it in the air. Could he have just picked out Alvarez with a bit more precision? And they've given it away again in the same area that I'm talking about. Jorginho can get turned and play forward. Instead, he tries to play it back.
There are inexperienced players at some parts of this Chelsea team, but not most of it. There's men who've helped the club to great success. At the moment, post-difficult era is problematic for successor Graham Potter. And injuries, we have to stress again that injuries are certainly not helping him get a settled team. The suggestion was before the injuries that he didn't alight on a settled. He's a manager who's come with a reputation of changing it. I don't think he's ever named an unchanged side since he's been in the job. We're talking about Sterling, Pulisic, James, Chilwell, Loftus-Cheek, and even the young forward Amanda Breuer, who would be an orthodox striker, which they've struggled to field. But injuries are part and parcel. Even at the elite clubs, you don't always have a top-class alternative. Certainly in those full-back positions. I mean, we've seen more of Chalobah in a back three than as a right-back. As previous Chelsea appearances. Lewis Hall is a rookie. Promising. These are very difficult games to come into. And the side isn't really moving as a smooth machine.
So there, Mason Mount goes to close down Laporte, and there's just an easy pass out to Gomez. So he's having a moan at the other players behind him, but there's no way that Gallagher could get out there in time. So the front players will stop closing down.
There's Mahrez again. Fouls. It's a tactical foul. In case Chelsea, in a few seconds remain to half-time. Very clear. Well, he'll find something to pick on. It's not necessarily a positive, but I'm sure he will accentuate the positive as well, because once they got going, this rearranged Manchester City team, they have looked as good as any Manchester City team under the Guardiola regime, with Mahrez starting it off with a phenomenal free kick. Yeah, it took a little nick off the wall, but it's still a brilliant effort. Julian Alvarez arriving back from the World Cup, getting himself a rather fortunate penalty in his conversion of it after handball by Havertz. And now Phil Foden putting his stamp on proceedings. And for Chelsea, well, it's going to be a pretty unhappy dressing room at the break. They trail here at the Etihad, losing yet again to Manchester City without scoring yet again. It's 3-0 to City at half-time.
Half-time at the Etihad Stadium, Manchester City 3, Chelsea 0. Also, 99 scores is mentioned the pitch is strictly prohibited after using pyrotechnics and smoke bombs inside the stadium. These are criminal offences in any way or behaviour manner and received automatic flood ban. Likely be arrested and face possible criminal.
Here with Chelsea today, who came on as a substitute and was substituted on Thursday. And Manchester City now, it's theirs to lose this third round FA Cup tie. Guardiola will be emphasising, I'm sure, no complacency, doing what you were doing in the last 20 minutes of the half, and the margin could be widened.
Interesting to see who's going to play up top for Chelsea.
Or maybe he will.
Looks as though he's the furthest forward at the moment.
Yeah, he's a player who's a goal scorer in the Norwegian season. He's scored 22 in all competitions. Often operating as a wide attacker as well as a central striker. We'll see. There's Julian Alvarez, who's definitely through the middle for Manchester City. They've got through the middle of Chelsea too often for Graham Potter's liking. So the double change at the start of the second half. Now let Stuart sort out who's doing what and where.
Just interested to see where Jorginho and Zakaria are playing in that midfield. So Conor Gallagher might be playing further to the right. They're still playing with the two players in behind the centre forward, who is Fofana. You see Conor Gallagher much wider in this second half, the start of the second half.
Chelsea have never had a Fofana before in their long history. Now they've got two. Having signed earlier this season, Wesley from Leicester, centre-back. He's on their injury list as well. So it's a challenge from the new manager who worked wonders at Brighton. After that at Swansea, and then in Scandinavian football. Did play a few Premier League games, Graham Potter. Just a handful at Southampton.
It looks as though he's gone to a back three. Conor Gallagher's going to play as the right wing-back. Hall is going to play as the left wing-back. Chalobah will just tuck in alongside the other two centre-backs.
Which is where Chalobah has been playing quite a lot in recent times, certainly before the World Cup.
Humphries has just got to be a bit careful. He keeps being dragged into central midfield positions by the player he's marking. In the space in behind him, Foden tried to make the run in behind him on that occasion.
Here's Laporte.
Humphries has moved from the right-sided centre-back to the left-sided centre-back of that three.
It's in Manchester City's DNA to not just manage this through and get across the line, but to keep pushing, keep probing. They love having the ball in the attacking third, not always to purpose of scoring a goal, but the premise that part of the pitch, the opposition are very unlikely to hurt you at the other end. Here's Rodri.
We did the cup final together when they played against Watford, and there was no let-up that day.
No mercy. That was the one FA Cup they've won under Pep Guardiola by a joint record score, 6-0. Was offside. It did look as though Gomez had gone a bit too early. Aaron Can is a veteran of World Cup final assistant back in 2010 in South Africa under Howard Webb, who is now in charge of the referees in the Premier League setup, top flight.
You saw as Conor Gallagher received the ball, he is playing as a right wing back.
He's the latest. A few given that job, including Raheem Sterling. Graham Potter was quick to point out that he didn't have many defensive duties when he was lined up there. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is a midfield player. I was talking to him on Thursday evening after the game. He said, I play right wing back, but I really am a midfield player. So it's the Reece James syndrome. They're so much better when he plays. He's got a bit of the devil in the soul, which this Chelsea collectively haven't quite got. I put it the other day, Stuart, they've just lost their snarl a bit. You know, they were ultra competitive, serial winners. And of course that may come again, but it's not just a change of manager, the change of ownership. It's obviously the club to the foundations, really. So much achieved under Roman Abramovich. Circumstances level couldn't continue. Thiago Silva's still continuing. He's been probably Chelsea's best player this season at the age of 38.
I saw him against Nottingham Forest. Some of his passing out from the back in the first half was exceptional. He's obviously a very good defender. Doesn't seem to have lost too much of his athleticism over the years. Still reads the game brilliantly.
He played the first game after Christmas against Bournemouth, virtually limping the whole game, and still carried the cigar. They could do with him out there now. Here's Alvarez. Mahrez with licence to explore, looking for Palmer. Seen out responsibly by Dennis Zakaria. From here from Juventus, obviously with Borussia Mönchengladbach. Run of starting the games. He's, I think, seen as a stabilising influence to be brought on for the second half in difficult circumstances, where Chelsea have obviously got a bit of pride to play for, as well as trying to find a page from the history of FA Cup comebacks, and stranger things have happened down the years. But it's looking a very tall order here, and they haven't got a tall enough player, Conor Gallagher, to keep that in.
I don't think Koulibaly has been at his best for Chelsea. I saw a lot of him when he was absolutely magnificent for Napoli over many seasons. I was talking of him moving maybe 3 years earlier to some of the Premier League clubs.
He played here actually for Napoli against Manchester City.
Very good understanding with Albiol, who was the older of the two centre-backs, playing for Villarreal.
Fofana trying to get involved. The future's a bit cloudy for Jorginho at Chelsea as well. A great signing. The team is playing his tempo. He is the man with the metaphorical baton leading the orchestra. But not today. Rodri. Foden. Walker. Before Foden again, now Bernardo Silva. And Laporte. Well, there's plenty of left-footers out there for Manchester City.
Yeah, it's surprising that Riyad Mahrez has just changed his position in this second half. He's been playing further infield. Now he's almost coming to a left-back position here.
All he's done to Chelsea, he's probably earned the right to play where he wants. I'm sure that's not the case. Rodri. Nibble at him from Mount, to nibble at the ball. Laporte. Bernardo Silva. Here's Mount. Maybe a chance to get further forward, and he and Rodri here. That's a legacy of what happened a minute or so ago.
Well, that should probably be a yellow card for Rodri. Yeah, and he's got one. He knew exactly what he was doing there, and he saw that Mount was going to switch the play out to the left-hand side. Just has a little clip at his heels.
Yellow cards, incidentally, are competition-specific. Won't have any impact on his tariff in the Premier League, but if he gets one in the next round of the FA Cup, it will. For the movement of Mount. Two England internationals combining nicely. It's better from Chelsea, and the sight really of Stefan Ortega in action.
Yeah, just gets a slight block in it here, Gomez. Just pulls off his calf. Ortega probably gets a fingertip to it and pushes that a little bit wider.
Just to be on the safe side. Chelsea corner. Havertz to aim for. Gallagher. And across by Ziyech. Alvarez helping out. Somehow stayed in play. We'll deal with it. always easy to play the second half when you're 3-0 up. It's a lot easier, I suppose, than playing a second half when you're 3-0 down. There'll be some players who'd be thinking, well, let's just make sure of this, keep the clean sheet going, maybe not quite make the run. Kyle Walker's not one of those, by the way. He's often running again. But there'll be others who think, well, come on, we've got them down on the canvas now. We can really apply the knockout blows.
It depends how the opposition, the team that are 3-0 down, approach the game. If they carry on sitting deep and not really pressing the ball, Man City might just keep it, reserve some of their energy.
There's the wandering Mahrez. Walker playing like somebody who hasn't had quite enough football this season. So he had to work really hard to convince Gareth Southgate to take him to the World Cup and then to play him in the World Cup. I think that France was a likely opponent, and Mbappe, his best defensive weapon of pace. And you mentioned it right at the start. Manchester City's best weapon of pace is Kyle Walker still.
The greatest thing about Kyle Walker, as we've seen with England, as we've seen with Man City, he can play as a right back, a right wing back, or as a right-sided centre half. Rodri had to be careful there. He didn't want to make that foul, did he?
He'd have been off.
One way to get Chelsea back into the game, to go down to 10 men.
No change in the scoreline in the first 10 or 11 minutes of the second half. Hall. Fofana, Chelsea fans will be grateful to have a sighting of him. So I know his name in Norwegian football. I'd say that's perhaps not always the path to the top level of English football, but you think of Mulder and you think of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who didn't do too badly. In fact, he's got 3 caps for the Ivory Coast. Tells you that he's got, yeah, Rodri's coming off. Cancelo. Gomez is going with Rodri. Cancelo, pretty decent replacements. Again, we're talking about players who are at the World Cup coming on. Cancelo of Portugal. And Calvin Phillips of England, who still hasn't started a game for Manchester City. Got 40 minutes of the League Cup game here in November, proving his credentials, I think, for the World Cup, a bit like Walker had to do.
It's a massive part of England's European Championship.
His last start, incidentally, Stuart, in any football club or country, was England against Hungary in the Nations League in June. And of course, he had to endure the criticism of his manager, who said he was basically too fat. He's gone back a little bit on that, Pep Guardiola, as if he'd made his point, and having had the stick, came back with a carrot. I would like to see with a home crowd, with the Chelsea fans would, but Erling Haaland, who's only played once against Chelsea, that was on Thursday, and he didn't score, had a couple of semi-chances. Jack Grealish admitted afterwards, in setting up the goal for Riyad Mahrez, the only goal of the evening, he was looking for Erling Haaland.
And he's usually in the right place at the right time.
Zaruka trying to have a little private game out there, I think, in the circumstances. There's Chalobah. Started the last 7 games before the World Cup break. Since he's got a new long-term deal to 2028, signed at the back end of last year. And this is the problem for Graham Potter. New pre-season to get to know the players. Obviously, he's managed against them. There's going to be a double Chelsea switch as there was at half-time. Now going to call on Cesar Azpilicueta to try and make sure there aren't too many more disasters. The stalwart from Spain is approaching 500 appearances for the club. It's the most by a non-English player for Chelsea. Time to take Bashir Humphries on. He hasn't been exposed too much. His position has been pretty spot on.
He hasn't done anything wrong on the ball. On one or two occasions, he got sucked towards the ball and players run into the space behind him. Early chance for Cole Palmer. He got sucked into midfield and Cole Palmer ran through the area he was supposed to be defending. But it's been a fairly sound debut. Humphries.
Mahrez, who's he looking for? Kyle Walker, who's got inside Humphries then, he recovered. Mahrez across to Cancelo. Putting it about again.
He's going to get the yellow card.
It's a fault on the right side, but it is still a fault.
It's a great bit of skill, just lifts it over him. He knew what he was doing, he left his right leg there. He wanted to win the ball off the first touch and he was late. It's a poor challenge, he's got to slow himself down.
He's averaging, well, in terms of numbers, I think how short his career has been at the top level. Azpilicueta is on for Jorginho. And here's another look at Omari Hutchinson, who made his debut. He's on for Ziyech. Made his debut against Manchester City on Thursday. Taken by Foden. Touched by Koulibaly. Silva. It's almost at the state where if you said, well, it's 3-0 now, let's call it off. It's Chelsea, well, they're doing their best to try and get a foothold into it, but I think the main consideration when they came out for the second half was damage limitation. We'll see, there's still plenty of time. This is the FA Cup, capacity for change, capacity for surprise.
We saw that with Coventry yesterday, didn't we? They were 4-1 down to Wrexham. They had a player sent off and nearly got back into the game. They had a chance to equalise in added on time. Not a very happy Chelsea bench there. Azpilicueta's come on to the right wing-back position, allowing Gallagher to go infield and play in his normal central position. Here he is on the ball.
He's done very well on the ball on that occasion. Out to Hall. Again, he certainly won't hide, he won't probably be too adept at protecting himself. He has had a sending off this season for a second yellow card.
Hutchinson is playing in the position that Ziyech was playing in. Sort of narrow, put it inside right.
He's got a Jamaican background. He comes not too far away from the Chelsea training ground in Surrey in the home counties, southwest of London. And he was with Arsenal until the end of last season. He's been on, he got on the pitch, but he was certainly on an Arsenal team sheet or two. David Fofana using his strength. Expensive Cancelo, and his Hutchinson comes out to Zakaria, challenged by Foden. Gallagher hit it with his left foot. Hall might. Gallagher might hit it with his right foot, but he's twisted back into trouble. And Mahrez gets Alvarez on the run.
He didn't fancy taking on the defender Koulibaly on that occasion. Koulibaly is an excellent 1v1 defender.
And we've got Bernardo Silva, a position he's played a lot. On the right-hand side, inverted wing position, as Mahrez is. Which doesn't make it a strategy of design for Erling Haaland's aerial ability. Too many crosses have been coming in. He has scored some headers. He's very proud of his head work because he had to work really hard at it. It wasn't something that came naturally to his game. Anyway, I can't help just mentioning him, even though he's on the bench today. He's taken this English season by storm.
Walker's almost playing as an outside right now, and Mahrez has gone infield. Bernardo Silva is joining in on that right-hand side.
He does like a tweak or two, Pep Guardiola. Mostly, very successfully, occasionally, like the Champions League final, where even I think when the team sheets were handed in, those who know the game very well, like Stuart Robson, would have said, not quite sure about that. Didn't pan out the way Pep Guardiola and Manchester City wanted in that enormous game, the most enormous game between these two clubs, of course. Akanji, who's an international teammate of Zakaria of Switzerland. There's Cancelo. And from Palmer to Jean Cancelo again, who played it behind Palmer, and it's given back. Zakaria to Manchester City, and Cancelo in particular. Bernardo Silva. Mahrez. The nomadic Mahrez of the second half.
He's a joy to watch when he's on form, Riyad Mahrez. It can be frustrating for fans and other players when he's not playing well, but when he's on form, he is an outstanding player.
We tend to forget, with all he's done for Manchester City, what he did for Leicester. He and Jamie Vardy, the spear and N'Golo Kanté, of course, who's one of the Chelsea absentees, of course, with almost a season-long injury. But those three, goalkeeper Kasper Schmeichel, did so much to make that fairy tale a reality in the East Midlands. Now it's East Manchester. Mahrez. He's got Chelsea dancing to his tune again.
Like a lot of players, when they go to, like Phillips, it's taken him a time to settle in at Manchester City. It took a long time for Mahrez to settle in. Never really produced his best form until maybe the second season. Erling Haaland, and playing today, probably the best passer of the ball in world football. And De Bruyne,
Yeah,
you've got on the bench as well.
By the way, apart from seeing him at the beginning, didn't we? We saw him on the bench when the teams were lining up to come out. But yeah, he's probably deserved a mention or two before you brought him into the conversation. Because he was only a substitute in the FA Cup final, the 6-0, but he came on and scored against Watford 4 years ago in May. And there's a foul by Bernardo Silva and a yellow card, and Chelsea taking the free kick quickly. Hutchinson. It's Spilicueta, that's the sort of pass that Manchester City play very well. The Chelsea captain didn't play so well. Information of Bernardo's booking.
That pass is usually from Riyad Mahrez to the on-rushing Kevin De Bruyne, who then whips it in with a bit of pace, just as Walker did for the third goal. The chains for Chelsea.
Tony Chukwuemeka. That will be the full complement. Mason Mount to shrugged off that training ground injury from midweek last week. Chukwuemeka was an early substitute against Manchester City. He actually hit the post at 0-0. Found to have a good account for himself. Bought from fellow Premier League rivals Aston Villa. He had a couple of Premier League starts. Phillips, his hometown club Leeds United, had a bit of a scare today, but managed to set up a replay against Cardiff City. Here's Manchester City. And Bernardo Silva. Mahrez. It's the fluidity of positions that makes it so hard for the opposition. I think somebody's in your zone, even if you're not man-for-man marking, and then he's not there, and it's another one, and then it's another one. It wears you out mentally as well as physically. Here's Mahrez looking for more. Wonder. Marisa Balaga had a look anxiously over his right shoulder.
Well, you knew as soon as he took that step onto his left foot, he was going to try and bend it into the corner. Silva plays it to him, just goes inside the first challenge of Gallagher, tries to use the next defender on the side of the goalkeeper. It was a good effort from Riyad Mahrez.
Mount off. Chukwuemeka, win a European under-19 crowd, big contribution to that last year.
Always had a good youth system, haven't they, Chelsea, over the last 15-20 years. All those players now coming to the fore. They need to come to the fore, maybe.
Here's one of the old guard. Here's Piliqueta. And his international colleague Laporte slips. Hutchison. Whether he was actually trying to play that in or shoot, I mean, quite get close enough to the ball to get it on real contact where his eye line and his foot were down in harmony there.
I think he was trying to shoot.
Yeah.
So space open up for him, bend it into that far corner, but as you said, wasn't close enough with his standing foot to the ball. He could wrap his foot round it. Couldn't hit it with enough power either.
Edison's class. Stefan Ortega. There's Zakaria. He's a lovely character off the field. Humphries. Playing from the back, couldn't quite find David Fofana. Koulibaly. Chelsea, you feel quite happy to keep the game slow, tempo. The clock tick on, 15 minutes plus added time to go. Quite got into the realms of the mega added time of the World Cup. come in. It's certainly something that was appreciated by the supporters, who got more time, watching time, for their considerable outlay. There's a school of thought, Stuart, that the game should have an in-play target of an hour of the 90 minutes. The ball should be in play for 60 minutes. One way to do that, of course, is have a clock that stops, as other sports do.
I noticed you changed your contract, so you were paid by the minute in the World Cup.
Paid? Labour of love, you know that. Cancelo. It's Koulibaly. Chelsea would have loved to have offered a bit more in the memory of Luca Vialli here today. A great sense of grief. Passing of the Italian so soon after the end of the game on Thursday between these two. A chance there, suspicion of offside, but Hutchinson was allowed to go on.
They have found a bit of space down this right-hand side. As Hutchinson, we've also seen Azpilicueta make a forward run into open ground. Switch of players being useful for Chelsea from that side of the field to this.
And as it stands, it's going to be 3 games between these two clubs this season. A 1-0, which was Thursday, a 2-0, which was in November, and a 3-0 here. That's the City's favourite. Chelsea would love to get a goal, at least. Fofana in the middle, Hutchinson, who's been lively since he was brought on. And a shot that loops up from Zakaria. Akanji was the one who made the block.
Yeah, good play from Hutchinson. His first touch wasn't great, that's why he had to cut back in field. Then he played the little 1-2, then got it wide again. Trying to bend it with the inside of his right boot into that far corner, and that will be painful for Akanji.
To a Swiss roll on the ground.
It's very difficult to have the right sort of body language when you're a coach, when you're 3-0 down and you know that you're not really going to get back into the game.
Yeah, you have to be seen to be encouraging the ones that are out there. And, it's been another game of change for Graham Potter. The starting lineup and the substitutions that he's used, 2 of them, Zakaria and Fofana. Conor Gallagher, can Chelsea get a goal here? Fire up the last 15 minutes or so. Chalobah trying to come round the back.
It's always a difficult one to deal with. All he can do is try and get that back into the danger area.
It's a tribute to Luca Vialli. We weren't quite sure when we saw the shot a bit earlier.
What a player he was, what a character he was, good manager. Loved by everyone, I think.
Absolutely. Privileged to have known him. By Zakaria.
He's quick, he's a good athlete, Zakaria. I think he played very well against Nottingham Forest in the first half last week.
By Bernardo Silva, gone hunting the ball in Chelsea territory too much. They've worked their way into it from deeper positions.
Your Italian is very good, Martin, but that sign said, translated, win for Luca.
I'm sure Chelsea would have loved to have been able to do that.
It's great that he was part of that European Championship winning staff
for Italy. Yeah.
For Italy.
Yeah. With his great friend Roberto Mancini, great friend of former Manchester City player Trevor Francis. And Trevor was playing in Italy in the 1980s. Thing that Luca Vialli would not want would be any trouble in the Chelsea end of the stadium. Some frustration. Not sure about just the match or just the way Chelsea's season's going. 497th appearance, and I haven't seen too many times where for a petty incident he's reacted. It was a foul.
He's a man that's been used to winning. It's been equated over his career at Chelsea, or certainly challenging in every trophy. It's not happening for Chelsea at the moment. Came on as a sub. He's done quite well since he's come on. He's on this right-hand side on 2 or 3 occasions, but certainly not been his season so far.
He's been around Chelsea, of course, for these 4 cup finals in 5 seasons, I think it is. And, 3 defeats in a row. Been tough to take. Part of the winning setup in 2018 under Antonio Conte. Might have been Conte's last game in the job. Manchester United with an Eden Hazard penalty. Maybe he's just feeling not just the lack of results, but as I say, that edge that Chelsea always had, even like the likes of Hazard, a wonderful, gifted player, but you knew he was a competitor as well, and they just haven't been able to really compete. Even scoring a goal is a very hard thing for this group of players to do. Yes, it's Manchester City again, but it's not the same Manchester City that lined up in the Premier League. But Bernardo Silva, and down goes Foden, and the referee has given another penalty to Manchester City. They've restricted their forward momentum in the second half, but they burst through then. And Azpilicueta is still burning with it, not a sense of injustice, I don't think, indignation maybe. Let's have a look at it, Stu.
Well, Bernardo Silva plays the right ball. Yeah, there is a clip. The covering defender just catches Foden. Here, misses the ball as well. Koulibaly. I don't think we're going to see the referee change his mind. He misses the ball. He had a chance to get the ball, but just missed it, and then caught Foden. Foden, had he not been knocked to the ground, would have probably passed it into the corner.
Well, I said there'd be 2 different states of mind maybe for Manchester City. There's somebody who was never thinking about just running down the clock to win 3-0. Oh, and Riyad Mahrez is going to take the penalty. I don't think Pep Guardiola, from what I understand within the City camp, will be over-thrilled with this, but with a 3-0 lead, he can afford it. You remember he's missed a couple recently. He scored 10 out of 14 from the spot for City, which means he's missed 4. Quite a high ratio. What's he going to do with this one? 6 minutes to go. Mahrez finds the back of the net. And it's Chelsea, doesn't miss against them. So a second successful penalty, this one against Koulibaly, the first against Havertz for handball. Alvarez, the first successful spot kick, that was more convincing from Riyad Mahrez.
He just hit that one with pace. Riyad Mahrez high into the roof of the net. Again, try to play a few mind games, quite down the middle, but close to it. Hit with power, hit with good height. No stopping that. Almost take a risk when you try and go into the roof of the net. You don't get underneath it too much. And a very good penalty. And a real thumping for Chelsea here.
Well, when you think you get to 2 finals of a domestic cups in the same season, you know you're going to play somebody good. And Chelsea, both against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup and in the FA Cup, losing by the narrowest of margins on both occasions. But here, at the first hurdle of the domestic cups, they've met not just the same opponent, but an opponent like Manchester City. Rico Lewis comes on. One of Manchester City's young talents. Another Manchester-born lad, only 18. Been at the club since he was 8.
When he has played, he's played well.
He was part of the first set of substitutions from Guardiola at half-time at Stamford Bridge on Thursday. Here's Mahrez, who's on a hat-trick, of course. Penalties. Cancelo's going to get booked for that. Threatening a potential counter-attack. I don't think Rob Jones can be held to account too much for awarding the penalties from the Chelsea point of view.
Well, he's right to give a yellow card on that occasion, yeah, but you're absolutely right. The first one was handball. He didn't give it to start with, but having looked at the VAR, and as you said at the time, not too many of the Man City players appealed for the first penalty, did they? Only Akanji saw it.
And you, because I was watching the game go on and you were getting ready to view what Rob Jones got to see in terms of replays.
I think the second one, it's missed time, wrong angle of approach from Koulibaly. Because Foden didn't really try and shield the ball particularly. Koulibaly just missed it.
The previous biggest margin in an FA Cup tie between these two teams was a 5-1 for Chelsea in the 5th round in 2016. And Manuel Pellegrini was the City manager, and the rest of them had a long Champions League trip shortly after that, I think maybe to the Ukraine. And we were a bit critical on the day about the selection, and I got a very abrupt text after the game from Sam Allardyce saying you've got to understand what these the demands on these players. So Sam put me in my place, not for the first time. I was happy to take the advice and be a bit more sympathetic to Mr. Pellegrini next time he was involved.
Well, not somebody you usually argue with, Sam Allardyce, I wouldn't think. Might come off second best.
Well, it was nice of him to make contact, to be honest with you. Maybe he's watching today from somewhere. It'd be nice to hear from you again, Sam. I hope we've done it okay for you this time. I say we, I'm not sure, Stuart, you were culpable. I think it was just me.
Whenever I make a mistake, I always blame you.
So that doesn't happen very often. Here's Marisa Balaga. He hasn't had much chance. We'll talk about the free kick, I suppose, from a long way out. The touch on the ball seemed to take it upwards rather than divert it from side to side. It's more awkward for the goalkeeper. It was a brilliant effort from Mahrez.
You always think that maybe a goalkeeper can take another couple of steps before he gets the dive in, but it was hit with such pace. I think he realised he had to get the dive in quite quickly. I'm sure the goalkeeping coach will be looking at it and seeing where he could have done better, but I don't think there was any chance he was going to save that. Maybe the penalty, the first penalty by Alvarez, he could have done a little bit better, having chosen the right way.
Good point. Here's Hutchinson trying his luck on the left. In the 90th minute, with probably only a couple to add. Gallagher. Hall. 4 youngsters have been in from the start. Best ball. See what Lewis Hall was trying to do to get Gallagher to turn onto his right foot and maybe move him with a bit more menace towards the edge of the penalty area for a shot. I think it was a measure of Potter's problems. They made a triple substitution in the second half against City on Thursday, and Conor Gallagher was the senior player of the three, with Lewis Hall and Harry Hutchinson being the other two.
I wonder if, when he looks back at the game, whether he'll question the formation that he went with. It made it easy for Man City to keep switching the play and creating 2v1, and he made the most of it on several occasions. Riyad Mahrez has just been named as the man of the match.
That's what they call a one-horse race. But he's had problems at times not doing what Pep Guardiola wanted. I'd be interested to know about the penalty, because he missed one earlier this season in a Champions League game that they only drew. The message was, well, he's not going to take another one. Whether the rules were broken, we'll see.
Or not another important one.
Yeah, but maybe. Good definition. Foden's waiting in the middle. Okay. He's not stopped running. Lewis struggling to get there. No. The team is a right back, but one of those right backs who can play in midfield, which is where he is now. Cancelo runs through to Alvarez, who bequeathed the second penalty, I would assume, to Mahrez. The first one wasn't so good, was it? So,
we were just talking about Lewis playing at right back or in midfield. He did that brilliantly against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup game, which was an absolutely brilliant game. And when they didn't have the ball, he went to right back. When they did have the ball, he came into that central midfield area.
Well, Chelsea go out to Manchester City again in a domestic cup competition. It was 2-0 in the Carabao in November. It's 4-0 here. And in the three games, counting the Premier League game just 3 days ago, Riyad Mahrez has scored in all of them. He's got 2 today. Alvarez on the score sheet, on the penalty spot. Foden got a goal and won the penalty, the only goal of the second half. But problems mount for Graham Potter. Losing is one thing, losing without really competing is not what's expected of a Chelsea team. He won't expect that. I mean, they stuck at it. There are mitigating circumstances. But Manchester City swapped and chopped and changed in their lineup as well, but they were far too good, and they're through to the fourth round with 4 goals, with Mahrez the main man. City 4, Chelsea 0.
The week commencing the 23rd of January. Keep your eye on the website.